Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Cosi Talks Live. We've got Martin on board with his organic dark coffee in Loveland, Colorado. We've got, how do you like that, Dean? You like my music? I've been playing a little bit around with my streaming software. Let's see, we got Dean coming in from Hollywood, staying up late tonight for the Cosi Talk Show. I really appreciate that, Dean. We've got Sean patiently waiting. Thanks, guys. I've been tinkering around with my Restream software basically so it allows people to be notified that I'm going live a little bit sooner so people can have a better chance of jumping on board. So I'm trying to make this software program work a little bit more. All right, let's see what else we've got. We have got Sean having a Coke with a smile. Hope you guys like the intro music. Hola, Cosi Talks. I love it. We've got Victor on board. Guys, if you are on board, let me know who you are, where you're from, and what is in your mug. I was so busy trying to get everything ready that I don't have a mug right now, and I could really use something warm to drink because it's cold here in Florida. Good gravy. We've got snow in Florida. So like, you know, the saying a snowball chance in hell. Well, I don't think Florida's hell or anything like that, but it should be a snowball chance in Florida. And it is snowing in Florida. Nothing here in Tampa, but you know, it's still kind of crazy to me to see the news with that. All right, we got Emily on board from Central PA. She's got her lava cake hot coffee, which sounds amazing. We've got Kim with peppermint tea in Indiana. We got Tom on board. Tom, happy belated birthday. I forgot to wish you the other day a happy belated birthday to you, Tom. Let's see. We've got Chuck from Wyoming with his iced tea. Iced tea in Wyoming. Son, you are just a polar bear. We got Victor coming in from Tennessee. John C. coming in from San Diego, watching from the YouTube channel. Guys, I am broadcasting to YouTube, Instagram, and my Facebook channels. We've got Scott coming in with a really cold weather in West Virginia. I'm over this cold and I'm with you right now. We've got Mark S. with his vanilla tea. Sean saying snow in my hometown at Pensacola Beach. Nuts, man. Crazy. Anything with the word beach in it and snow. Susan says it was -5 degrees this morning. Marshall's paws were freezing. I'll bet. Poor little guy. So Tom is 62 years young and still kicking butt and taking names. All right, guys, we got a fun show. I know tonight's show was supposed to be College Park, and because of the weather it got canceled because my boy Reggie Showers, he's out in Texas, and basically because of the weather his flights got canceled. So fear not, he will be coming next week, and he will be, and I just realized I never really connected my microphone. Shame on me, Cosi. All right, let me connect my microphone. Hopefully you guys can hear me a little bit better now. I don't have to like project so much. So Reggie Showers will be with me in the Cosi Talk studio, sitting next to Bob next Wednesday. And we're going to be talking all about liners. So College Park has a new toy out on the market. So we're going to take this opportunity just to talk about the different kinds of liners and, you know, who's a candidate for what kind of liner. And Reggie, you know, for those of you who've been with me for the past 7 years that I've been broadcasting this show, Reggie has probably been on my show the most. He is a wealth of knowledge on top of just being a wonderful, wonderful human being. And I always love having him on the show, especially when he's actually sitting next to me. It's just, we have a really, really good time. All right. We got Pat Glover on board with his blackberry mango seltzer in the mug, like the new system of countdown to the life. You guys like that? So guys, quick recap. Let me introduce myself and then I'll talk a little bit more about that. So for those of you joining me for the first time, hopefully you found the show. And if you did, yay. My name is Cosi Belloso. I'm a physical therapist here in Tampa, Florida. Cold, freezing. Like I have my little space heater right here next to me. It's probably going to put my pants on fire or something because I've got it so close. Florida. I've been a PT now for over 23 years. And my passion is working with the amputee and the lost community. And this show is exactly for that, to educate, inform, and empower this community. So those of you who've been watching my show, you know I've done something different the last couple of weeks. I am starting the show live, technically 10 minutes early. And the purpose of that is to allow the Facebook algorithm gods to spread the show around. So I've based this on a lot of the feedback that I had from many of you that, you've been watching the show for a while and you still have some trouble finding the show. So I'm trying to troubleshoot a couple of different things to hopefully make it easier for folks to find my show. So I think we're kind of doing pretty good with that. Let me actually pop over to Instagram and say hello to Scott. We got Mark S listening in on Instagram as well, and a couple of other people there. So excited to see my Instagram folks as well. So I have a list of questions, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So the whatchamacallit, the hallmark question for tonight was, how can bilaterals and quad amputees exercise? I actually had someone write in who asked me, do I have specific exercises for quad amputees? I'm a bilateral below knee, and not sure of the technical term, but I've lost most of my palm and part of my thumb on my left hand, and my right arm is at the wrist. So yes, this qualifies as a quad amputee. So just to kind of go over the vocabulary just a little bit, basically, if you're missing one limb, you're a unilateral. If you're missing two limbs, you are a bilateral amputee. If you're missing three limbs, we call it a triple amputee. And if you're missing four limbs, you're called a quad amputee. And it doesn't matter which combination. If you're missing one leg and one arm, then you're bilateral amputee, and you just specify that way. So obviously, with more limbs that are missing, it can obviously present more of a challenge with modifying exercises. Hang on, we got a lot of people chiming in right here, so I want to give a shout out to Martin. He says it's working, and I'm like, I'm so glad, Martin, but I still think we have a few glitches to work out. We've got Robin coming in from Northeast Ohio. Temp is a balmy 12 degrees. No, thank you. Should be PT in Rehoboth. Yeah. Good, Martin. I am so glad it worked. Marianne is asking, do we have snow? We have snow in the northern part of Florida. So Tampa is right in the middle of Florida, and literally right north to me, it is snowing. So it's like we're right on the edge of where it is snowing. So it would be interesting. Let's see if in the next day or two we get snow or not. Don't know. Matthew, man, it's good to see you, man. I haven't seen you here in a while. You got your hazelnut coffee. All right, so going back to bilateral and how it works when you're a bilateral amputee. And I know I do have quite a few of you here on board. I have a lot of bilateral lower extremity amputees. Some of you are bilateral below the knee. Some of you are bilateral above, and some of you are bilateral mixed. And I get this question a lot, and also a lot from PTs, especially those if they're not experienced working with amputees. They'll have a bilateral amputee come into their clinic and they go, oh dear, how do we treat this person? And it kind of goes back to the old saying, well, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you treat a bilateral amputee? One small step at a time. Okay. So when a bilateral amputee, or any amputee for that matter, first comes to see me for physical therapy, I don't just automatically throw them in the parallel bars and off we go with these complicated gait exercises. No, we start at the beginning, guys. After we do the initial evaluation, and this goes for my unilateral as well as my bilateral amputees. I start with where the deficits are. Okay. And this is something that is very common to unilateral amputees and bilateral amputees alike. Okay. Most of them will have glute weakness. Most of them will have quad weakness, and most of them will have hamstring weakness. Okay. So this answer applies also for my clinicians who are just like, okay, where do we begin? We begin at the foundation. We begin at the beginning, right? So we start with quad sets, hamstring sets, glute sets. We are doing isometric exercises to wake these muscles up. And we dove a lot into this last week's show. We talked about how when it comes to rehabilitating a muscle, strengthening a muscle, it's not just about making the muscle fiber big and beefy, okay? It's about teaching the brain to recruit muscle fibers, all right? So let's just take it back a couple of steps. When there's injury or any kind of trauma to the musculoskeletal system, right? There's inflammation, there's a bunch of stuff going on trying to heal that part, but the muscle fiber doesn't just automatically shrink, right? That's not why you lose strength. You lose the strength after an injury, whether it's a surgery or an amputation or whatever, because your brain just kind of freezes, for lack of a better word. It stops recruiting the motor fibers to contract. Okay. So when you are coming off of an injury, when you're coming out of a surgery, you got to wake these muscle fibers up. You have to wake up your brain to start sending those messages to recruit those muscle fibers during a contraction. Okay. This is also an argument that I give whenever I have people in the community who say that amputees don't need to see a physical therapist. When they say, oh, well, this amputee just put their prosthesis on and they learned how to walk by going up and down the parallel bars in their prosthetist clinic and they figured it out. And I say, well, that's great and all, but what's going on is that amputee is not using all the muscle fibers that they should be using and coordinating all the muscle groups and balance and exercise and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it starts with muscle recruitment. Okay. And unless you specifically target these muscle groups, your brain is going to take the easy way out and it's only going to recruit the bare minimum fibers to go. Okay. So the question then is, well, who cares if the person's able to get from point A to point B using the minimal amount of muscle fibers, then they're fine, right? And it's like, no, because eventually down the line, those muscle fibers are not going to be enough. And other muscle groups are going to start to pick up the slack that shouldn't be picking up the slack. And this is how you lead to chronic overuse injuries. Okay. And it was interesting. I was in the clinic today and I had a lovely young prosthetist resident who was kind of listening in on one of my treatments. And I was explaining this concept to her. We were doing hamstring set exercises. So hamstring sets, we were waking up my patient's hamstrings and I was doing isometric contractions. And as we did each repetition, his contractions would get stronger and stronger and stronger. And I showed her and I told her, look, his muscle fiber is not getting big in just these 5 minutes of doing this exercise. What's happening is the longer he holds his contraction, the more his brain is recruiting muscle fiber units. Okay. And that's why it's getting better. Right. And you can just see the prosthetist going, oh, okay, the prosthetist student, fantastic student. Hey, comadre, no, I did not get something warm in my drink. I was too busy trying to get this program going. I need something warm in my drink, though. We got Brenda Ross coming in from Philadelphia. We've got my Tar Heel girl there, Denise, coming in from North Carolina. 24-degree weather in her boots. Good. Let's see. We've got Randy coming in from San Diego. I'm starting year 2 of my above-the-knee amputation. We're working with insurance company who have denied me an upgrade to a microprocessor knee. While trying to get this approved, I've come across a C-leg built in 2013. Do you think this will be adequate to use in the interim until the issue with the insurance company is resolved? Okay, here's the textbook answer I have to give you, Randy. You need to make sure that this piece of equipment is approved by your prosthetist. Okay, so in the United States, technically, we are not supposed to reuse medical devices such as prosthetic feet and prosthetic knees. That is the technical answer as a licensed clinician that I am supposed to give you. Now, do I think that is a waste in our country? Yes. I think we have a lot of medical device waste in our country where we have durable medical equipment, medical devices such as prosthetic feet and prosthetic knees that are tossed away when they are still in perfectly good condition. Okay, so this is where I put it on you to use good judgment and for you to talk to your prosthetist who should also be using good judgment. If they are providing you with a gently used medical device and it is something that they have checked and made sure that it is safe to use and everything is working, then that is up to you to take the risk to use a gently medically used medical device. Gently used medical device. Can you guys see all the disclaimers I'm having to put on here? I know it's ridiculous, but you got to do what you got to do. Guys, use good clinical judgment. Okay, I will say this. Let's frame it this way. When I go to Guatemala, when I worked at the Range of Motion Project clinic there they are using gently used devices. Okay, in fact, that is what their entire patient caseload is based on, is all the donations that they receive from the United States and other parts around the world of gently used devices that are still in good working condition. Okay. And on one of my trips there, I've done 2 trips there. And one of my trips, I took a very good condition C-leg, and it was actually a C-leg from, it was at least 10 years old. and it was in great shape. It was still working, and we were able to take it over there to be used on a patient. So I'll let you extrapolate from there. Another thing, Brandy, when it comes to getting approval for these devices, again, I guess number one, find out why the insurance is denying this, just to see like what is their reasoning. Is it because you're technically considered a K2? Whatever the reasoning is, and really try to justify through that reasoning. And I know that sounds like master of the obvious, but sometimes when it comes to asking for a medical device that we might need, sometimes the insurance company will just flat out deny, and then we spend our time throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what will stick, to see if we can get them to approve it. So try to use targeted, just to see why is it that they're denying this, and see how you can go about with that. So if you don't mind putting that in the comment section, if you know why is it, what reasoning did they give you for denying it? And guys, by no means am I an insurance expert. Hey there, Jerry Ann from Arizona. Drink is cinnamon roll vanilla coffee. Brenda says, I feel so sad when I hear that people are being encouraged. I feel so, Brenda, I think you mean when people are not encouraged to go to PT. Yes. And unfortunately it's something that, again, it's education. Okay. And I used to, when I was a younger PT, I used to get all hot headed about it, but then I realized, okay, instead of getting hot headed about it, a lot of people just don't know what physical therapy can do. And that includes even many people in our clinical community. There's many prosthetists that I've spoken to that they're not aware of what PTs can do, much less the kind of training that we receive. And on the flip side, I have other prosthetists who are phenomenal to work with, and they completely understand what it is that I do as a physical therapist, and they are ecstatic when they get to work with a physical therapist who has amputee training. But this is something, again, guys, that I put the education in your hands, because you can be your best advocate, and you can actually, many of you have already done this. Many of you have taken this information back to your prosthetist and said, hey, this is why I want to try out this foot. This is why I want to try out this knee. And I tell you, take the information and say, this is why I want to work with a physical therapist. Okay. Specifically one with amputee training. Okay. But when it comes to basic muscle physiology and strengthening, right, and rehabilitating muscle, that is like the bread and butter of physical therapy. That's what we do with our eyes closed. Any PT student, okay, any first-year PT student should be able to explain those basic concepts that I just said a few minutes ago about muscle strengthening, okay, and how a muscle is meant to be rehabbed after any kind of injury. Yeah. Oh, Sherry said, oh, Sherry, goodness. I flew into Wisconsin today and it's cold, freezing 14, thus drinking hot chocolate with a little rum. Oh, I like that. Hey there, Pastor Dave. Good to see you. We've got Grant on board, everybody else in 40 degrees warm in Salt Lake City and still drinking your Diet Dr. Pepper. Man, you guys have got some cold weather going on. We are having a respectable high 30s here in Tampa, Florida right now. Matthew says they may not be able to reprogram the C leg for you. They may or may not. And again, it depends on, this is where your prosthetist just needs to look at the programming in the C leg and just see if they can get into that programming and do it properly for you. Thank you, Brenda. No, I appreciate. Let's see. So let's go back to how is it that a bilateral can exercise compared to a unilateral? Okay. So we start with the basics, guys. We start with quad sets, hamstring sets, glute sets. And actually I did a video today and I even got my restreaming software to cooperate. So I'm going to show this to you guys. I'm going to try to narrate the video. I posted this video on my Instagram and YouTube. So this patient, you guys have seen him already for the past couple of weeks. He's been such a sweetheart about letting me film him and some of the exercises that we do and post them to Facebook and Instagram. So this is with his permission. He's a phenomenal young man. He's a bilateral below the knee amputee, and he's a professional ballroom dancer. So we've been working together. And as we've been working with him, we've been filling in those gaps of some of that foundational strength. Okay. So in last week's videos with him, and you can go back to my Facebook channel and you'll see it there, you'll see me doing hamstring sets with him. So some of the basics to wake up his hamstrings, right? And you can see me doing that in the last week's videos. This week, we were progressing him with his bridging exercises. And if you guys have been on the show, you know that bridging is my favorite exercise for strengthening glute muscles, strengthening the butt muscles. And this can be done for my unilaterals and my bilaterals, any level. Okay, so I'm going to show you now how he does it as a bilateral below the knee amputee. Okay, so hopefully this is coming through. Can you guys give me a thumbs up in the comments section if you can still hear me narrating this? So as you can see, I've got him positioned with a little step stool underneath his knees. And again, you just need to play with that angle for your comfort. If you are a bilateral above the knee amputee, you just need to position your step stool further underneath your thigh. Okay. And as you can see, he does a great job. You squeeze your glute muscles together, you squeeze your butt together, and then you slowly lift your hips up off the mat. And the point is to keep the hips level and to raise everything up. As you're doing this, your core muscles are going to start working. Your hamstring muscles are going to be working. Your glute muscles. It works everything out, and it's kind of amazing. I love this exercise. So he's doing this without his prosthetic devices, but he's also done them with his prosthetic devices. Today, we did it without the prosthetic devices just so we could activate his hamstrings just a little bit more during the exercise. Okay, good. You guys can hear me. All right. So now what he's doing now, this is the next level of exercise. So as he's up, then he's doing what we call marching. So he's bringing a knee to chest and then going back down again. Okay. And this is considered like I have this as a phase 2 or phase 3 in my exercise program right here. All right. Now this next version he's going to do, and this is for when you're really, really strong. Okay. You can see he's putting one knee to his chest and then he's doing the bridge with one limb. Guys, this is not easy to do. He could not do this 2 months ago. So don't be fooled by his youth. He had to work hard to get to this point. Okay. And what's really cool is as he is lifting with his one residual limb, his pelvis is nice and stable. He's not dipping down to one side. Okay. So you can see, and guys, you can reference this video. Here, let me go back to my main screen. Let me see if I can do this correctly. I did it correctly. Okay. So guys, if you want to just kind of look at the video, it's on my Instagram and my Facebook. In fact, actually, I would really appreciate it if you liked it, especially if you're on Instagram, because it just kind of helps promote it a little bit more. So yeah, total shameless ask there. But I'm also explaining a little bit more in detail in that video. Okay. So as you can see, it's not terribly different from when you are a unilateral amputee. Okay. And again, I'm speaking to my amputees and my clinicians alike. A lot of people can get spooked off for being bilateral because they're just like, oh gosh, where do we start? Where do we start? That's where you start. That's where you start right there. And then when you progress to doing your gait exercises and you're standing in the parallel bars, you start exactly the same way as somebody who has one amputation. Okay. And that's true. That's how I see my patients. I have my foundational gait exercises that I've talked about a lot on the show. It starts with the square up. Okay. Those of you who have my program, hang on. Those of you who have the book and the program, if you go to the balance section, and there are some of you out there who are bilateral amputees and you have purchased this program, okay? So if you go to phase 1 of balance, it starts here with the square up exercise, okay? That's where it starts, whether you are a unilateral, whether you are a bilateral, whether you are a quadruple amputee. Okay. If you are a quadruple amputee and you have upper extremity amputations as well as lower extremity amputations, your challenge is going to be getting yourself into standing, right? Especially if you're not able to push down with any of your extremities that are left. Okay. And again, this is where the physical therapist is your best friend because we can teach you just the different ways of getting yourself to stand up without upper extremity support and working on that. Okay, the progression is the same. Okay, it's just going to take a little bit longer and it might look just a little bit different in the adaptive ways to doing it. Okay, and then again, for my clinicians out there who are listening, and I say this a lot, as physical therapists, we are not teaching prosthetic gait. A lot of people will say, oh, we're teaching. No, we are not teaching prosthetic gait. We are teaching the human gait cycle with the use of a prosthesis. Okay, and that's the mindset of as a physical therapist when you are working with an amputee, when you're working with a stroke patient, when you're working with a spinal cord injury patient. You're teaching the human gait cycle. And as physical therapists, we have all the tools that we need to teach the human gait cycle. You do not have to be an amputee specialist to start teaching this to an amputee. Okay. So guys, as much as I'm an advocate for my amputee patients, I'm also an advocate for my profession and in encouraging my colleagues who are out there who are curious about working with amputees, who perhaps don't have the experience and are, maybe a little bit intimidated, because I know I was 20 years ago when I started working with amputees. You have everything that you need in your arsenal to get started. Okay. Let's see. All right, good. You can watch. Okay, Brenda, good. So you were watching us both. And guys, I love having patients. I have wonderful, wonderful patients. And some patients are, they're a little bit shy about being on camera, and I totally respect that. So when I have a patient like Raphael, and then also another patient that I had last week, George, that they are open to having videos, it's wonderful because it's so much easier just to show you guys how I'm working with my patients than to just constantly describe it, and it's kind of cool. I think it's always fun to share this. Let's see. Let's go to our next question. Okay, so Pat sent me this question and says, it's been more than 7 years since getting my socket and Ottobock knee, and my kids mentioned the Empower ankle to me. My current foot is an all-pro, which I'm fine with, and I'm curious as to your thoughts. Okay. Sorry, guys, let me pop over to Instagram. Okay, we got a couple people here on board. We got Timothy on board. We got Bremer. Hey, Bremer, good to see you, man. Glad you guys are jumping on board. We got Michelle also on board listening in. Good to see you, Chica. All right, so when it comes to, people ask me all the time, right? Michelle, thanks. People ask me all the time, what do you think of this foot? What do you think of this foot? What do you think of this knee? And they'll name me the feet and knees. And for me, guys, I don't really think of prosthetic feet in terms of the name. I don't think of it like Maverick, Soleus, Empower, Meridian, Bialon. I think of it in terms of, what is this foot's function? Okay, how is it built, right? And if you guys have been to my website, I'm going to put this down here because I want you guys to read this. On my website, I have a tab that says blog on it. And under that blog, I have an entire blog about how everything, sorry, these pop-ups keep coming up on my screen. Everything you need to know about prosthetic feet according to their function. And I have 10 different classifications of prosthetic feet. All right. Those of you who've been on my show, let's see if you guys can name some of those functional classifications. I know some of you who have been on the show for a while can hopefully name quite a few of them. So I want to see that in the comment section right now. Those of you who remember some of the classifications for prosthetic feet, put it in the comment section. Okay. And by the functions, I mean is, how is the foot made? What is it designed to do? Is it designed to give you more movement? Is it designed to give you more flexibility? Is it designed to connect you more with the terrain that you're walking on? Okay. And then once you understand those classifications, then you can say, okay, you know what? I'm a better candidate for a foot with more mobility. Or, nope, I'm a better candidate for more stability. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? Now, when it comes to, so for example, the Empower, okay, it's an Ottobock. It's their new power. Hang on, I've got the message right here. Okay, so I contacted my Ottobock sales rep. Okay, and the information he gave me is that it is a hydraulic foot and it's an actual power ankle. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to get much more information here. So basically, it is a hydraulic foot at heart. Now, it's got some mechanics, it's got some, motor, the actual power ankle. So what I'm not sure about is whether it is a microprocessor or motor driven. That's the part I don't know about, guys. And I don't have a formal partnership with Ottobock, so I can't really speak a lot about their product, and I can only go based on their website. And unfortunately, the website does not give me a whole lot of information. So this is something I have to learn a little bit more about. But that being said, this is the lesson that lies therein, okay? So of the classifications of prosthetic feet, you have satch feet, single access feet, multi-axial feet, energy storing and response feet, dynamic response feet, hydraulic feet, a classification that I call hybrid feet, which is a mixture of all these different features, stubbies, blades, and microprocessor feet. Okay. So again, guys, go to the blog and I give you a description of all those classifications of feet. Okay. So in the case of the Empower, and again, based on the one or two facts I know about this ankle, I don't know enough about it, but I know that it is hydraulic foot and it has some sort of power driven in it, whether it's a microprocessor or motor driven, I'm not sure yet. But the point is, if you want to try out a hydraulic ankle that is power driven, okay, you need to also go to another company that presents with a similar foot, okay, a similar hydraulic with some sort of power foot, and then compare the two. That's what you want to do, okay? Don't get hung up on the name of the foot. Figure out what is the function beneath it, okay? Now, it may be the case that your prosthetist may not be familiar with a particular foot that you are interested in, because there's hundreds of feet there on the market, guys. Hundreds of feet. So it's impossible to know everything about everything. But the people who do know about these feet are the sales reps, and you have sales reps in your area for every company. So it's just a matter of your prosthetist giving that sales rep a call, and they can come and give you information and your prosthetist information. And for me, that's where I find a lot of good learning right there. And they can also tell you this is how this compares and contrasts to other feet in other companies that are on the same classification level. Okay. And this is something I really, really, really encourage people to do, because once you sign the dotted line for that foot, that's your foot for quite a few years, right? So when it comes to these feet and trialing the new feet, you know, I encourage you, do your homework, figure out what classification of foot works best for you. And again, it's all in that blog that I just posted that's on my website, okay? And then trial at least 2 feet that are the same classification from different companies so that you can understand the feel of it. Okay. Now, in general, when it comes to hydraulic feet, the really nice thing about hydraulic feet is that they make you feel more connected with the terrain, especially if you're walking on uneven terrain. It makes it a little bit easier to negotiate ramps. Okay. And like if you're on grass or hills or whatever like that. Okay. And then some of the studies have shown that it does take the pressure off your skin. It's a little bit easier on your skin. Okay. Because of the fact that it's just kind of connecting better with the ground and it's not quite so shocking to the skin on your residual limb. Okay. Now, when you add any kind of computer componentry, whether it's a motor, whether it's a microprocessor unit, right, that takes some of the work out of it for you. So it makes it a little bit easier to use the foot or the knee. Okay, whenever you're adding computer to it, the computer does some of the work for you. So it gives it a more natural feeling, less energy expenditure that you're having to do. So those are the good things about having a motor or a microprocessor foot ankle system. The flip side, because there's always pros and cons to each, right? Because you have technology, more technology, and they're in the form of motor or microprocessor, it's more things that can be damaged, right? And it's going to make it a little bit more delicate a foot, so to speak. Like you're not going to be doing any high impact jumping activities with this kind of a foot or ankle. They are going to be more expensive. Why? Because you have more fancy technology involved. Okay. And they are not going to be waterproof. So this part I did see on the website, the Ottobock website for the Empower. Like if you get caught in the light rain, you're fine, but you can't go trudging through the water. Okay. So those of you who like to be on a boat, those of you who like to go hunting, and I'm saying this because I have patients like this, right? They like to go hunting through wet leaves and lots of water and muddy terrain and things like that. This may not be the foot for you. Okay. So you've got to weigh the pros and cons of this right here. You got to see, okay, what is it in your lifestyle that you're looking for? And what is it that you need this foot to do for you? Okay. And then at the end of the day, trial the foot. Try it on. See how it feels. Take it for that test drive. Okay. Let's see. Bill says, for me, my criteria is weight, firing off, and flexibility. And yes, guys, so these feet that have the more bells and whistles you put onto something, whether it's a prosthetic knee or prosthetic foot, the more it's going to weigh. I mean, that's just the end of it. The flip side to that is if you do find that foot that makes you fly, okay, and it feels good, the weight will become not a problem if your prosthetist is doing a good job with suspending the prosthesis onto your limb. Okay, and I say this all the time because there's actually one of the heavier prosthetic knees on the market. It's the Oser Power Knee. I like the Oser Power Knee a lot, and it is one of the heaviest, if not the heaviest, foot on the knee on the market. Okay, but I've seen people who weigh 100 pounds zipping up and down with it because they have a well-fitting socket and prosthesis. So the same goes for some of these feet that are heavier. Okay, that they might be heavier, but if it's the right function for that patient and the prosthetist is making a well-fitting socket, the weight will not be a problem. Does that make sense, guys? Hey there, Linda. We got Keitha. Holy cow, woman! I haven't seen you in a long time, girl. How you been? You in Southern Alabama right now? You could be freezing there too. I know. All right, let's see. Yeah, we got lots of folks here who are fans of the Elan. So years ago, I had this company called Blatchford on the show. Good company, makes good stuff, and they came out with the Elan, which was one of the first microprocessor prosthetic feet on the market. Okay, and at the base, it's actually a hydraulic foot. So it's a hydraulic foot with microprocessor component added. And there's a lot of people here who are big fans of the Elan. It made it feel very comfortable to walk in. So yeah. All right, we got a few more people on board with Instagram. Let's see, we got Tesha on board. We've got Karem on board. Hey, thank you for joining in, Karem. Timothy's on board as well. And Suji is on board. So thanks for joining in, guys. Let's see. We got Alex coming in from North Carolina as well. Emily says, my Satch foot just feels like a brick. And yeah, a Satch foot is probably, it's the baseline foot. I have one buried in my box over there somewhere. It's one of the first, it's actually probably the first modern prosthetic foot, and it's made out of wood and it has a cushion heel. So it is a heavy foot. It's also a very inexpensive foot, and it's also a very stable foot. So the Satch foot gets a lot of flack because, it is an older foot and it doesn't provide with a lot of mobility and it doesn't give you a lot of energy return. But for people who need stability and they need to have a foot that's going to be solid and stable underneath them, the Satch foot does the job, and it's inexpensive. So even though it's the oldest foot on the market, I would not call it irrelevant. And there's a lot of people that I know that get a lot of good use out of a Satch foot. If it's not necessarily their primary foot, a lot of people will use the Satch foot or some version of it for like a secondary beach foot or pool foot, because it's cheap and it can take a beating. So that is the good part. All right, let's see. We got Trey, man, I haven't seen you on board in a while on the show. Thanks for joining in. And guys, those of you who are on my Instagram channel, please feel free to put questions into the comments section as well. All right, let me get this next question. Eric is asking, I would like to know the advantages to having a custom liner. So we're going to talk a lot more about liners next week. There's a couple of different classifications and we'll be going more into detail. You have silicone liners, gel liners, and polyurethane liners. Okay. And some of these liners can be made, they are custom made. So the obvious benefit of anything custom made is that it's meant to fit your body. It's meant to fit your limb. So that's the biggest benefit of having a custom made liner. And there are some folks out there who have residual limbs that are not, a nice conical shape in the case of an AK, or a nice cylindrical shape in the case of a below the knee amputee. And you have some residual limbs that have very unusual shape. So they might need the use of a custom liner to make sure that it stays on. And we'll get a little bit more into that later. I know our buddy Ronnie Dixon from POA in Tennessee, they make their own liners in-house. And for that reason, to make them custom made for each patient, custom made silicone liners. All right, let's see. Here's a good one, guys. I got like a lot of questions about how to stay warm. So this is the part where I want to hear from you guys. One person was asking, what is the best way to keep your stump warm in the cold weather other than having a love affair with the heating pad? That's a good one. And then Emily says, what do you recommend that amputees do to stay warm in single digits or below temperatures if all you're wearing is a shrinker and not a prosthesis, or if it's just easier wearing shorts with the prosthesis? Pants can sometimes be tricky. So again, when it comes to this is where I rely upon you guys to give me the tips and tricks, because obviously I live in Florida and I'm freezing right now because we're not used to this. The one thing that kind of came to mind is I've seen a lot of people with their sweatpants in the really, really cold weather. They'll go and get a cheap pair of sweatpants and just tie a knot underneath the prosthetic limb if they're not wearing their actual prosthesis. And that just kind of keeps it, closed off. Another thing I thought about, and I know this is kind of weird, leg warmers. Y'all remember those leg warmers from the 80s? I don't even know if you can still buy leg warmers. But I wonder, especially for my below the knee folks, if leg warmers would kind of work. Or those of you who are savvy with a knitting needle and yarn, knitting leg warmers. Yes? No? Okay, guys, I need help on this one. How do you keep warm when you're having some of these crazy weather changes that we're having right now? Like, is there anything that you do differently than you did from before becoming an amputee? So please start putting comments in the comment section right now about this, especially my folks up in Canada. Tom, do you do anything differently? All right, let's see what else. Sean says, wearing thermals in bed. Kim says, I just crocheted a sock for my stump. I love that. I don't know how to crochet. I do embroidery, but I have not learned how to crochet. Charlie says, ooh, Charlie, you know what? I do not know the answer to that question. I don't know the answer to that question, but I don't know the answer. That's a great question. If you can adjust the All Pro foot heel for snow boots, I imagine it's like any other prosthetic foot where you just have to be clever about how you get that foot in. I know some of my folks will use a shoehorn for some of the more stiff shoes to get their foot, the prosthetic foot, into the boot. That's a good question. Or if there's such a thing as a snow boot that has a zipper down the side. So I know a lot of ladies' boots, they'll have the zipper that it'll zip down all the way down to the bottom of the shoe so that you can put the prosthetic foot in and then zip it up. So I'd be curious if there's any snow boots out there on the market that do the same. You can tell I'm a Florida girl. I don't know much about snow boots. Let's see. Ben Gregory says, as a bilateral below the knee, I just wear my liners. Brenda's like, I wore those 29 years ago, leg warmers, that is, but right? We can make it a comeback, make it a trend comeback. Punky Brewster. I love it. Oh my gosh, that just brought back memories. Brenda says, I do an Amazon search for leg warmers. They're still popular in the dance community. There you go. Eric says, I wear my shrinker to keep my limb warm. Sean says, I've been having a hard time finding a steel toe work boot with a zipper on the side for my prosthetic legs. Such a pain in the buttocks. Yeah. And again, I wonder, like, again, this might have to be something I have to go look at. Sean, if you can send me an email and remind me about this. I actually just realized I have a cobbler. Yes, I just said cobbler near my kids' school. I'd be curious to stop in and see if they would be able to put a zipper into boots. That would be really hard to do, but I wonder if it's possible. Debbie says, my mother-in-law is an above the knee amputee who doesn't wear prosthesis and wears pants that she cuts the leg off below the knee and sews or safety pins it closed from the inside. Chuck says, a leg warmer with a twist at the bottom and then the extra goes back up onto the limb. And that's actually a strategy that we use for like the tubi grip. I don't know did any of you guys use tuba grip right after your surgery? It's like this elastic tube material. And the therapist may have put it onto your limb on the first couple of days after surgery. And it's just that it pulls on like a leg warmer. You twist it at the bottom and then redo it up to the top. And this is like a precursor to using a shrinker. Tom says, I tape hand warmers. Ooh, that's a good idea. To the metal below my socket and it keeps everything nice and warm. There you go. Linda says, I've had zippers put into my boots, Arius boots. Is that, Bill, is that kind of a boot that has a zipper already in it? Brenda says there are grippers that you can strap onto your shoes. They're still popular, help with slipping in the snow. And I know Yak Tracks, I think, is a popular thing that I've heard a lot of you guys say. Val says that or Chuck says that they make zipper cowboy boots. Yeehaw, that'd be kind of fun. All right. Let's see who else we got on board. It's kind of quiet on Instagram. I think they're a little shy on Instagram. They're not used to the Cosi Talks madness. All right, next question. Dave asks, how can I best strengthen my upper leg muscles after being sidelined with faulty axers? The loaner I have now is working fine, and I'm trying to build back my leg strength and trust ASAP. Wish you were closer to help. I wish I was too, Dave. In one word, bridges. Bridges. So, Dave, I know you have my my book, or you have my video program. I can't remember. But the upper leg muscles, basically glutes, quads, hamstrings. Okay, those are the basic ones right there. The bridges, basically the exercise I just showed previously with Raphael doing the exercises. That is by far my favorite exercise for strengthening everything. It kicks in the core, it kicks in your glutes, it kicks in your hamstrings, it kicks in a little bit of everything. Okay, and that's a great way to start getting that strength going. And then what I love about it is as you get stronger, you can modify it to become more and more challenging. Okay, as you go. I have people who are elite runners and they are doing a modified form of the bridge exercise. Okay, so it grows with you, which is kind of cool. Let's see. Charlie says a plastic bag on your foot helps to slide them on. I've heard of that one as well, and also helpful for putting pants on as well. Linda says next grip makes a boot that has steel cleats in the sole that help you flip out when needed. There's all sorts of fun stuff I'm learning about winter wear. Okay, this is really cool. All right, guys, let me take a look. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe I forgot about this. Guys, I need your help. Need your help. And I should have done this previously. Okay. Those of you who were on my texting service about 20 minutes ago, you should have received. Yep, you got it because I got it. You should have received a text from me with a link to my survey. And this is where I'm this is a huge ask, but I need this. Every year, usually I do it at the end of the year. I was running a little late for 2024. I put out a 10-question survey. It literally takes less than 2 minutes to do because I know you guys have busy lives and I don't like filling out surveys either. But this is a quick click, 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 click survey. It's really easy to fill out. These are questions that I have put in. These are questions that my sponsors have put in, okay? And this is so that we can serve you better, okay? Everything that you guys tell me in this survey, I apply to the next year. So one of the questions on this survey is, what are the things that you guys want me to talk about on this show? What are the topics that you want me to bring in? Another thing that I ask is, how do you like the format of the show? Do you typically like me to do sponsored shows? Do you like the general Q&A sessions like tonight? Do you like a mixture of both? Okay. This show is here to serve you in the amputee community. Okay. So everything in this survey really helps me gear it towards that way. And then my sponsors, they want to hear from you as well. Okay. Guys, people who have been sponsoring my show, the companies that have sponsored my show over the years, and I'm not just talking about the one-off show, I'm talking about the companies who put their name next to my logo and they sign for the year to support this show. Those are the companies that are really vested in you as the amputee. And I'm just going to say it like that. Okay. So help them serve you. So you're going to see on the questions on this survey, it's going to be pretty easy to see which questions are from Integrum, which questions are from College Park, which questions are from Click Medical. Okay. Help them by answering these questions. Okay. And guys, I've seen over the years, because of my little, I call it my little rinky dinky survey, I've seen some of these companies implement some policies based on some of the answers that they have from here that you give them. Okay, so this is your chance to have a real voice, to really be able to voice your opinion. So please do so. And yes, to sweeten the pot, I am doing a $50 gift card giveaway. Just make sure that you put your email address, because if you don't put your email address, I'm not going to know how to contact you to tell you if you won. Okay. And then I'm going to sweeten the pot just a little bit more. If you share the link to my survey, whether on Instagram or on Facebook, tag me at Cosi Talks, either way, and I'm going to give you 5 extra raffle entries. Okay, 5. If I get more than 100 surveys, I'm going to give away 2 gift cards. All right. So, guys, please, 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 please share this link to your Facebook groups. I have it listed. Yes, I do have it listed on a post. Those of you who got it in your text messaging, please send it to your fellow amputees if you text with them. Share it out to your groups. And again, if you share it, tag me in it, and I will give you 5 extra raffle entries. So again, please, 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 please fill out this survey. I'm going to leave it up for another few days, and then we're going to close the survey down and then announce the winner for the gift card. Okay. Okay, Martin says he got the survey. Victor already filled it out. Thank you very much, guys. We got Mike coming in from South Texas. Larry is asking, how do you get it on the text? If you are not on my text messaging service, this is how you do it. You're going to text Cosi Talks to this number, and I'm typing it in for you. Okay. So if you are not on my texting service, you can sign up this way. Okay, I just put it down there. Text Cosi Talks, all caps, one word, to 855-721-0837. It's on there. Okay. And then you'll also start receiving links for whenever I go live. And then you can also text me your questions. Okay. So go ahead, fill this survey out. What's the gift card for? It's going to be a generic gift card. It's going to be a $50 Visa gift card, so you can use it for whatever you want. Marianne says, my legs never get cold, even in South Dakota. Marianne, they don't make them like you anymore because you are a tough, tough lady. Let's see. Emily says, yes, I did send it out already, Emily. So I know you probably already filled it out. If you're in doubt, go ahead and fill it out again. It's not going to, damage your chances or anything like that. Here we go. Bill, I did receive the link that you sent me. Bill, if you wouldn't mind, though, because I'm having a little trouble navigating out of my screen and I don't want to shut the show down on accident. Bill has some information on the legislature so everybody can move. Guys, I only know just a little bit about this legislature, but the whole point of it is to make it available to have not just prosthetic devices, but running blades. So right now, insurances do not cover running blades. They consider that to be a luxury and unnecessary item. I don't agree with that, okay? But with this legislature, they're going state by state. That will hopefully, if it gets passed, it will cover the cost of running blades so that people can be more active after amputation. So guys, I don't know much about it. Bill is going to be posting a link here that you guys can read a little bit more about it. We have a lot of movers and shakers in the amputee community who are going to the Hill, Capitol Hill, and really fighting for this legislature and doing some amazing, amazing things. So Bill, if you wouldn't mind posting that link, please, I would really, really appreciate it because I think it is important to know what's going on. Let's see. Brenda, yes, if you could share this to amputee communities on Facebook, that would be fantastic. And I would really, really appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you. Martin, if the questions don't apply, should I not click on anything? I actually don't know. You can try to leave them blank. I don't know if it will allow you to submit the survey or not. Even if the questions don't apply to you, just kind of use your imagination and see how they would apply. If they did apply to you, how would you answer? And I know that kind of sounds silly, but it still gives us some information there. I just want to make sure all the surveys get submitted. So try your best to answer all the questions. Let's see. Oh, Kim says, I'm a lead advocate for the So Everybody Can Move bill. That's wonderful, Kim. Okay, great. No, I know it's been something that I've been meaning to kind of learn more about myself. And I'm sorry to say I don't know enough about it. I know, like I said, there's some really incredible people in the community. Victor, I don't know if I received your question. So if you'd like to post it in the comment section below. Guys, another housekeeping note, if you're sending me a question through my texting service, please let me know who you are in the message, because it only shows me, a random number. It doesn't tell me who is sending me the text message. And I always like to know who I'm talking to. So Victor, I think I've answered all the questions that came in on text message. So if there is something that you would like for me to answer, go ahead and put it in the comment section real quick. Hey, Jill, glad you could be here. All right, guys. So Kim is in Indiana and working towards getting the bill in front of Congress. Earl from California, better late than never, also filled out the survey. Thank you very much, Earl. I really appreciate that, guys. Really do. All right. And guys, let me just put my email address here. So you can contact me through the texting service, and I hope some of you decide to join on to that because it's a great way for me to communicate with you. But if you also would like to use my email address, I know one person mentioned that they don't have a smartphone, but they do have an iPad. So you can contact me through email, cosi@cositalks.com. I do answer all the emails myself. So if there's a question that I was not able to get to tonight, or you weren't able to put it into the comments section, or if I missed it, please send me an email and so I can answer your question. Thank you, Randy. I really appreciate you answering the surveys. Okay, guys, I think that's it for it. Bill, you know what? That's okay. If you want to have that link ready, I will try to do my best next week to have that link ready and figure out how I can copy and paste it on here. Still working out on learning how to use this software. But Bill, I appreciate you sending me that information. And again, I'm going to try to get it. It's on the Amputee Coalition website. Okay, there you go, guys. All right, and I will try to post it on the next one. All right, guys, with that being said, great show tonight, guys. As always, thank you for sending in your questions. Thank you for your continued support of the show. And thank you for letting me be a part of your lives this evening. Keep your eyes out on your text messages and your emails, because I'm going to send you also giveaway information for the College Park show for next week. So lots of stuff going on with Cosi Talk Show. So just keep checking, keep watching, and keep sharing. All right, guys, have a great evening. I will see you same